Today, taking the perfect selfie has been made a lot easier thanks to filters and photo editing. And within seconds, you can have flawless hair, skin, and amazing makeup with the help of filters. But studies say something as simple as taking that photo can have major impacts on your body image. Here to talk to us about that this morning is Carrie Ford. She's a healthy living expert. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning.
So, Carrie, this has been in the news. I was reading a Psychology Today story recently, and it's affecting our body image of ourselves. And then now they're even talking about the effect it's having on teens.
Yes, and it's no coincidence. I think that Dove has a new initiative around all of this and the ways in which that this is influencing our youth around what they call digital distortion.
Okay, and what is that? I mean, Instagram and people doing selfies, all of that, correct?
Yeah, and to your point when you did the intro, it's the filters, it's adding makeup, it's making our nose skinny and adding eyelashes, and even the video and body editing apps. What we're seeing is very confusing because oftentimes what we're seeing on somebody else's feed is not actually reality. It's not even how they look. And perhaps they've even, I've done a 10-second transformation post on my own Instagram feed where it shows just the angle, how that changes everything, the lighting. No transformation really occurred except for I turned my body a different way, right? Or a flex, or again, the lighting makes the skin appear smoother than it actually is.
And so, obviously, social media filters are making things worse, aren't they?
They are, absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely distorts our reality.
And so, and with that, people are constantly comparing themselves, well, I don't know, probably to the most famous influencers in the world, maybe the Kardashians.
It's true. And actually, 80% of girls are using retouching apps by the age of 13, and they're looking at people like the Kardashians, like the celebrity or the other influencers that are Insta-famous, if you will. And, they're just emulating what they see, and they're copying what is already out there. And I think that's a pretty sad stat, actually, that 80% of girls are using retouching apps.
And they don't need to. They're young. And,
oh, yeah.
And those who battle body image issues, give us an example of some of those things.
Well, most women, the average woman spends 17 years on a diet, and the reason she says she's on a diet is to change her body. So that tells us we've got a huge issue in terms of body acceptance, like true body acceptance. And that's just one example of how women use diets. And unfortunately, they go down the rabbit hole of getting extremely obsessed and seeking more rigid rules and things like that. And in addition, coupled with the filters and unrealistic expectations of how their body should look, skinnier waist and a larger glutes, things like that become, social trends, if you will.
Well, of course, I'm going to throw in my level of ignorance right off the bat. This isn't anything brand new. It's just the modern version of the Japanese binding their feet so their feet don't grow too much, or the corsets that you see in where people are just tying their waist up to where you couldn't move. We've been doing this since we've been getting dressed, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, if you look back and when they had those, I don't even know what the machine was called, but when they had those, vibrating machines where they were like, this helps you lose weight.
Oh, little belt thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always been some sort of, you're not wrong, there's always been some sort of influence from the media as far as how we should look and what's beautiful. And I think that's where we get to start undoing some of that and reevaluating our definition of beauty and where it's coming from. Because it starts with advertising, and now advertising has this interesting blend where it's in the influencer space as if it's part of a lifestyle integrated into somebody's Instagram feed, right? Because advertisers are using social media by way of these influencers and celebrities who are using the filters, right? So it's all connected to bring their products in, influence the type of people that are, personifying these brands and things like that. So, yeah, it's definitely an influence of the media and of our, definition of beauty and whatever timestamp that looks like. Absolutely.
Well, how much of it is put on the female by the media and everything else versus the expectations of the male? Did I say that without making any sense?
Yes. I understood it.
So how much is put on the female?
Yeah, you can talk to people and they say, and it's like, nobody thinks that. Oh no, I need to do this, I need to do that. No, but that's you doing that. No one's even thought of that. So stop watching that and relax. Well, actually, relax is the last word you ever use when you're talking to any female about anything. But it's kind of like that's not what guys aren't thinking. Everybody's supposed to look like a Barbie doll. Their heads come off too easy, and they're not worth it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, this is a deeper, wider issue as it relates to, gender roles and patriarchal systems, right? To kind of go into all of that, but it's a larger issue, and women are more affected because they think this is what is attractive, right? And if that's attractive and if that's where they place their value, then they're going to do it.
And so, I've heard of I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's
but
okay.
that women dress and all of that for other women. I mean, they take their cues from other women too.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that in terms of stats and things, but, I think, again, there has been a norm, something that has been accepted by society that is coming from a larger platform that is being infiltrated into, our minds and our eyes and all the things. Because let's not forget that a diet is not only what we consume with food, but it's also what we see and what we consume with our mind. So what we're reading, what we're seeing on TV, and the repetitive images, and just thinking about how many hours we spend on social media. I would bet that most people spend, hours on social media scrolling. And so just imagine all of the images they're exposed to, whether they're not engaging with it, but they're actually just seeing the images over and over and over, and it's just imprinting this image of what is ideal into their mind.
And recently, Khloe Kardashian, she actually went public. She broke her silence on a leaked photo that was unfiltered, and she was initially very, very, very unhappy about that. But then she went, you know what? Maybe I need to come clean because I've had issues too.
I think people more than ever are craving real and authentic because they aren't really sure what they're looking at so anymore, and they know that to a point. But yeah, I think that she probably was in a place where she had to do that.
Yeah, she was.
It's like, what do you do? You're backed in a corner.
Yeah, right. But one of the other, and I'm sure she gets this, and a lot of people do, but what's the best way to deal with haters on social media? That's really does a number on people.
It can, and it's interesting, but you have to realize, and I've personally had some of this as well as my audience has grown, but you have to realize that the projection of what they're saying is more about them than it is about the person receiving it. So you can just choose to not be available to receive their projection, and that means that they're the ones that maybe wish they were able to take the picture and have the courage to do that, or maybe they're the ones that are wanting to pursue their life purpose in the way that you're showing up on social media, right? So it has more to do with them and where they're unhappy with themselves than it actually has to do with the person they're directing it toward. And so if you can remember that, then it's going to be a lot easier to just kind of draw an energetic boundary there.
And Keri, you have dedicated your life to helping people improve their self-esteem. Can you give us a few of your best advice tips that you give people?
Absolutely. I feel it's my responsibility to help change diet mentality and the ways in which we view our body, especially for our youth. I'm a mom of two, and so raising them with what I call kid-conscious parenting around food and the way that we speak about it and the way we give them permission without editing is really going to just allow them to learn self-trust. And a child that learns to trust themselves becomes an adult that trusts themselves. And as we, expand into the world and we do all these amazing things and we step into that, they are going to be a different type of adult, again, if they have a very anchored sense of being in self-trust and who they are and what they get to create. And again, it sounds maybe silly that it's correlated even to food and body, but how we show up and do things is absolutely related to all of that. And if you have someone editing you by way of diet or limitations, you're going to grow up kind of editing yourself, second-guessing and not too sure. So, yeah, I feel that's my life purpose and my mission to focus on, the parents, the mothers that are raising youth in a different way and also reparenting themselves.
Well, thank you for that. And by the way, happy early Mother's Day to you. We've been speaking this morning to Carrie Ford, healthy living expert. Carrie, where can our listeners find you online?
Yes, come visit me at elevatewithkeri, KERI.com, or come say hi on Instagram at elevatewithkeri. I'd love to hear from you.
All right. Carrie Ford, thank you so much.
Thank you.